York City's Flatiron District. Home to Lilac Gallery, which specializes in contemporary and fine art, is pleased to present an exhibition of works by Michael Colavito titled Under No Illusion. Colavito reinvents and expands upon traditional filmmaking, photography, and cinematic techniques. His main contribution to the world of modern art is the introduction of a brand new art form.
The piece behind me here, again, I can't remember my own titles, is called Dimension Inversion. Because I wanted to have titles that don't describe anything, but in this particular case, it's about what I was saying before. When you look at the eye and the lips, you see something. But if you go beyond that, if you see the entire face inside here, here's the hairline, the top of the forehead on the side, lips, like once you see the whole face staring back at you from another dimension, again, hence the title, Dimension Inversion, it becomes an optical illusion, and it becomes, what I was trying to do, from day one with this compositional illusionism, visual illusionism category, because it's just that. There's another piece right over here that's doing the same thing, where if you really look closely, on the bottom by her face here, you can see her cheek, and you can see her lips, and you can see both eyes. And if you look up here, you can actually see the hairline in the forehead. And again, it's a true optical illusion where it becomes a completely different feeling once you see a person in there, and you forget about what's being obscured or fragmented. And again, you are aware that it's another dimension, and the optical illusion really hits you. This piece here, titled Sound Waves, is a continuation of the same, thought process or visual, expression of the optical illusion that I mentioned before. You can see her really well in this one, where you think about it, you don't have to fight to solve the puzzle of what you're looking at. Colavito self-portrait. I do self-portraits, I've done maybe 10 in my life. When I get an idea, and I have to do it right away, where I don't have time to think of a subject, and it's something I really, really want to put on film, I've used it myself a number of times. And I've in this case, used a painting that I like a lot, because it's a real fragmentation, and it's a piece that, you can see me pretty clearly in there, but I really just like the departure from other styles of art I was doing at that time when I created it. This piece, titled Transitional Ocular, that term means it's relating to the eye, so we'll just leave it there. But for me, I do a lot of, body form, and I've done a series of nudes in my life that I keep returning to, from time to time, because, the human form is beautiful, and, present it in the context of what I'm doing, it just makes a lot of sense to keep people thinking and engaged. So this piece I liked a lot, not having a face, because it just said more, like creating the mystery and doing what has happened here, was one of the pieces that became a signature, just because, people ask so many questions now. Well, why didn't you show the face? And all of these questions that I hate even answering. But it's a signature piece in that category, body, sex, and art. Each of these pieces on this wall are a tribute to a different category that I developed that is really about a tribute to Cubism and to art forms, before me. But through photography and the purity that I bring, they really matter to me. And this one on the right here is particularly, it's titled Cubist Tribute. This has some of the same kind of characteristics. But these are early pieces that I have a body of work surrounding, and these signature pieces, for me, are standout and are really foundational pieces in Colavito art. These pieces you're seeing on the wall here are, again, overlaps regarding the category that, they belong in. It could be body, sex, and art category, but it really comes when you see white backgrounds behind a lot of my work. That's what I designated as the visual illusionism category. But these are both recent pieces, about that subject. Over here on the wall we have a Colavito painting slash sketch. It's not related to photography. It's titled Family because it's my daughter-in-law. And as an artist, I don't do much of this type of work, but for the people in my life, for personal reasons, I will do a series of these and continue to do a series of these. This I like a lot because I have a wide array of this type of work where I probably did about 25 exposures of objects and bottles that I painted to use for this image. And again, I'm getting a little tutorial-like here, so I'll give you that and nothing more. This piece here I titled Veil for obvious reasons. I like the color, I like the background, the way I married these colors don't really belong together. So I like what happened there, but it never really mattered, and I used it for some photography. And then the idea of veil hit me because many people really are worried about the human body being exposed and the form being exposed. As an artist, I don't have a problem with human form, and I think what matters the most is that people feel comfortable with the subject and with their own bodies, whether they're heavy or thin. That's a real big part of life because it affects people's personalities. I did the veil to kind of bring that out, and also, I mean, in countries around the world, we know women really are treated like rudely and incorrectly, and it's hideous, and they have to veil themselves, and for fear of being, like abused physically and otherwise. So I like the piece for that reason. It took on more meaning, and for me as an artist, it had a validity after I added those little, covering up the body part and the face, the veil kind of additions. When I did this sculpture, Lilac Gallery owner Cindy Ilitsky was at my studio, and she liked it. She said, well, that's an interesting sculpture, and she didn't praise it beyond that, but she kind of recognized it. I never took it that seriously because I was afraid that many artists throw things together, and the work they create is not because it's simple or because some art critic doesn't feel that it's really valid or worthy. I had that going on a little in my mind. I loved the piece. I loved the illumination of the light in my room. That's all that really mattered. But when she said the word sculpture and it was attached to me, I then decided, I think I'm going to add a Colavito twist, and this clay-fired sculpture face on top is something that I created with my hands, and then it became valid for me, where it's like, wow, this is a fun pop art piece, and it really is a Colavito art piece, not just in combining the elements, but in actually, making a sculpture to be part of the piece.
In pop culture, explain a little bit more, the beginnings of it, and who influenced you?
Pop culture, I'm glad you're asking this because in the last week or two we're doing interviews and the gallery show's happening, so I have many people asking many questions. And I've had some big people, big minds that I respect, art critics and people in the art world, that have actually brought to the forefront what you just said about pop culture. My entire life I've heard comparisons, my work to other artists, and it's always flattering, it's always wonderful. As much as I want to be independent and not be compared to anyone, flattery is obviously a wonderful thing if someone's comparing you to an iconic type artist. The name Andy Warhol has come up a number of times in my life, and I like it. How could I not like it? Andy Warhol was a true genius. But what's been said lately really hit a chord with me because I know that the people that are speaking aren't trying to speak in hyperbolic terms. And they made it clear to me. They said, what Andy Warhol did was to change pop culture. He brought art and advertising and this whole world of art as they knew it then changed very rapidly. What I'm doing right now is about purity. It's about film and art and purity. And it's true. It's not just a term that we're throwing out at you. One of my lawyers recently read a write-up and said, up front, we need to say no computers, no special effects. This is optical purity. And we actually do say that pretty upfront in all of our descriptions. I think the description that I like the best now, the first sentence is, you hear that artist Colavito is responsible for the introduction of a new art form. To me, it doesn't get more serious and important than that. If you're concerned with art, if you really care about art evolving, well, that's a major statement that I'm touched to hear because it's the truth. So culture is about society, about children at all ages up to senior citizens. appreciating life and, incorporating whatever artfulness or mindfulness they have about art into their lives. So it's a very tangible thing. It's not just a discussion. It's something that's concrete with teeth. If people become aware of what I'm doing, because we must be clear, film is vastly superior to any digital photography of today. People constantly have the discussion going, and it's said, film is obsolete. Well, yes, it's obsolete because it's going away, it's disappearing. But if we talk about quality, the quality of an image, from sharpness to color control to everything under the sun, there is really no comparison. If you want the best, you shoot either movie film, 35 millimeter when you're shooting a motion film, or for me, I shoot 8x10 chromes that are 8x10 inches. It's beyond compare. It's the most advanced film format. And for me as an artist, if I arrive at some wonderful work of art, I want it to be on that format, 8x10 inches, so I can blow it up 2 stories tall in a building and have sharpness and resolution. And, I want to make a giant statement as an artist. And this whole cultural shift, it may be a little bit of a stretch to use the word shift, but the awareness behind what I do is a tribute to photography from day one, is a tribute to all of the masters of photography and to everything pure about, the art of photography.
May I ask you, what do you think about Michael's work?
I just said it. Weren't you getting it? It's unbelievable. It's amazing. We were just talking about Kodachrome film and some of the ways, the purists, or not the purists now, considering all the technology, but the way work was created and the work photographers and artists had to, to put into it in order to create something. Now technology, they're using, software and all of these other things. And this is one of the things that I think is great about Michael's work is he's doing it pure. And that takes commitment and time and patience and talent and, fortitude and a bunch of other good things. So I love it.
Showing him stuff outside of the show. I can't contain myself. He asks questions, so I'm on my new Android showing him literally different images that have nothing to do with what's happening here.
Oh yeah, this is just like this is not even the tip of the iceberg. This is where the gold is. All this history. Look at this.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
So while we're at it, I'll show you something else, because this comes to life in cinema. Everything you see here comes. By the way, the new Android.
Oh, it's
Pretty hot. See how big it is? I'm so excited about it because I can now, as the optical purist guy, say, hey, come on, I like digital. Well, look how much fun I'm having with my unit.
See, that makes sense because the optical purist guy would do digital, but the digital people, they may not go back to being the optical purist.
For me,
because
the digital
they're starting at digital and all the automation, for them to put the dedication, and there will always be some that will go backwards, and look at the old technology. The vast majority of people now is just digital everything, automatic or mask or whatever, not learning how all of this stuff kind of came together and what it takes to make it happen.
Digital for me is great because you can get on the internet and you can access and everybody can really communicate. In terms of capture, it's about the optical purity. But if I have my 8x10 chrome and nobody sees it around the world, that doesn't make any sense. So I love it. I just create the art a different way.
Right.
But I'm able to show you right now.
Yes, that's right.
Interesting, right?
We didn't have this, a bunch of years ago.
You're saying this, right? Yes. No special effects editing or blue or green screen.
It is all stained, right.
This is one frame at a time, doing what you see here. So it really comes to life. The film I did on Robert De Niro was like 3 or 4 months, one frame at a time for a 4-minute piece. The film I did, Chasing Originality, was a 22,000 individual frames. It took about 1.5 years. 5 hours a day. So it's really time consuming. But you don't have that from 1080i, or you can't create it this way.
That's right.
So it's fun.
And that's where the commitment to and the patience to create art, and something that nobody else has done comes from. That's why they're artists.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear you say that.
Seriously.
And I'm Kristal Hart reporting from Lilac Gallery here in the Flatiron District on Michael Colavito. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the show, and we'll see you in the art world.